The woman had just boarded the plane when she noticed something unsettling. This was the only flight today, yet the large cabin held only a handful of passengers. Just as she hesitantly settled into her seat, the overhead lights began flickering incessantly. A man beside her reassured her this was normal, which somewhat eased her concerns. But then a commotion erupted from the rear cabin. An elderly woman, visibly panicked, insisted she needed to get off the plane immediately. No amount of consoling from the flight attendant could calm her. Mary hurried over to help. She happened to be a psychologist. Suspecting the elderly woman was having a panic attack, she provided psychological counseling that considerably stabilized her. Mary returned to her seat and fastened her seatbelt when a metallic scraping sound came from overhead. She quickly asked the man beside her if he'd heard it, but he looked bewildered. Yet the sound continued echoing. Suddenly overwhelmed by unease, she rushed to the lavatory, desperately splashing cold water on her face to regain composure. Then her mother's voice came from outside the door. Turning around, she found the bathroom door had transformed. When Mary pushed through it, she was back in her childhood home, completely empty, not a soul inside. Her mother's voice emanated from a bedroom. Mary hurriedly opened the door, only to find herself back in the cabin. Mary stood there quietly. Everything that just happened seemed like a hallucination. But as she prepared to return to her seat, she sensed a dark shadow behind her. When she turned, the shadow vanished. Her momentarily calmed nerves tensed again. Mary slowly backed up to investigate when suddenly a hand touched her shoulder. The flight attendant informed her to return to her seat. The plane was about to take off. Back in her seat, the man beside her inadvertently noticed Mary's medication. He reassured her not to worry. Dizziness was normal. Soon the plane took off smoothly. After flying for some time, everyone gradually fell asleep. Unknown to them, red lights suddenly flickered outside the windows, followed by the appearance of numerous hands. Everyone remained completely oblivious to these occurrences. When Mary suddenly jolted awake, everything in the cabin appeared normal. But then turbulence began. The plane had encountered air currents. The flight attendant instructed passengers to remain in their seats. A passenger in the rear suddenly felt suffocated and collapsed. Mary instructed everyone to lay the elderly man flat. After she performed CPR, the old man suddenly opened his eyes. He grabbed Mary's neck, muttering strange incantations. Mary frantically pushed him away, but the other passengers seemed not to have witnessed what just happened. They were startled by Mary's inexplicable behavior. Then the old man began convulsing uncontrollably. The man kept calling Mary's name, trying to wake her. But Mary saw a black hand extending from the rearmost seat, followed by an eerie face. Only when the old man stopped convulsing and drew his last breath did the shadow disappear from Mary's sight. Before anyone could recover, the plane began violently shaking again. The flight attendant was thrown into the air and crashed back down. Mary screamed, instructing her daughter to put on the oxygen mask before hastily donning her own. Fortunately, moments later, the plane stabilized. Mary rushed to check on her daughter, only calming down after confirming she was uninjured.